It's spinning. There we go. Good morning. Welcome to the new Breakfast Club broadcast. My name is Joe Shoop, and my co-host Mark Stevens and Shirley, our manager. Mark, good morning. Shirley, good morning. How are you today?
I am fantastic and amazing. Heading to infinity today.
Good morning, Shirley.
Good morning. I'm fantastic and amazing, heading toward phenomenal.
All right. Well, there you go. Well, the three of us are there now.
Infinity is the
Mark's going to another stratosphere here.
Yeah, infinity is the next step up.
That's it. Yes.
Well, I'm excited. Let's talk a few things to people and let them know what's going on here. We have been around with the Breakfast Club for probably 18 years. And as we stated in our PDF letter that we sent out, is that, we started out helping and learning ourselves a long time ago, learning how to operate a successful business from home. And we actually partnered with like-minded entrepreneurs to discuss money-making strategies, regardless of what company it was. Some of the people, as you know, Mark, were from storefronts, from brick and mortar businesses and corporations and so on, where we met and we discussed things, and people had ideas. It was almost like going to what do they call that? The clubs in town where you go to and you meet with the entrepreneurs. I'll think of it in a minute, but
meetup groups and things like that.
Yeah, meetup groups and so on, and people were discussing the business strategies, what they were doing with their business, and that's how we started out. And then we had some companies early on that wanted us to specifically be for their company, and one of them was a gold company recently in the last 5 years, 6 years, 8 years, whatever it was, and we had lots of people in that particular business that was specifically for that business. The Breakfast Club talked about that business all the time, and of course we've done that here with the company we're with now, Cooler Brands. And one of the one of the things that came up was that people from outside were calling us and asking us, are you going to talk about other things like we used to? And in fact, we have Mark is personal friends with some business owners who actually are taking the communication class and wanting their people to be involved, and they want to be part of the Breakfast Club to discuss strategies. And we're talking financial strategies, how to actually set your business up and how to operate and how to communicate. And so it's just real exciting. So, today I got a couple of phone calls, and one in particular, and I know that Teresa's on the call with us, and one of the things that she said, she's a very successful businesswoman, and she said that one of the things I have to learn in this industry is skills. And that's what's missing from many, many people, Mark, as you know. So, you've come across that yourself, right?
Yes, I have. And Joe, the other thing is that what we've found, you and I for a few years have been talking about this 97% of the people in this business who make little or no money. And we've been trying to solve that challenge for a long time. And we knew that one of the ways to solve it was a communication class. In other words, if you know how to communicate with people that you want to work with in business, we're talking about, coming up with new locations and things like that. You have to know how to talk to these people professionally, as opposed to just, talking off the cuff, because they're going to ask you questions that they want answers to. In other words, how much money are you making? How long is this a pyramid and things like that? If you can't answer those questions, you stand much less of a chance of getting those people to join your business.
Oh, absolutely. And Mark, what's puzzling to me is in even some recent companies, people aren't getting that. They're not understanding. They think that new products, new services, new concepts are going to change the direction where they were going. And we all know that that it's the Chinese philosopher taught, be careful of the direction you're going. You might end up where you're headed. And we know that to be true, that people keep repeating the same thing over and over again, and thinking that it's the product, it's the company. This whole business is about communicating your message and being professional. And we've learned that over the years because, as you said, 97%. I mean, and Mark, how many organizations have you experienced where, and I'll ask everybody that question. You chat in the box there. I think it's open. How many companies have you been with that you saw your people? I know you've been successful, Mark, and we've had those talks in the past, but how many of the people who didn't pay attention and thought, well, I just talked to my friends and so on, how many of those people get to be successful without learning the skills?
Very, very few. And most companies, as we both know in this industry, they just put out a product, they just put out a marketing plan or whatever. They have no communication, that they don't have the correct autoresponders, things of that nature, and the people fail. And then what's even worse is these so-called leaders. They bring a person in, they get all this money from them, they leave them hanging, they don't give them any skills. And we know, Joe, and I learned this from you because, a few years ago, I've been in business for a long time and I've learned a lot of skills. But until I took this communication class, I didn't know as much as I thought I knew. And now, whether it's brick and mortar, whether it's online, offline, it doesn't matter. I use the same skills every day, all the time, and it's made a great difference in my business.
Well, you go out and talk to people face to face. I know you'd like to do that. I mean, I do too if I'm out. But as Shirley knows, I mean, I live near Shirley, and she knows that I'm not out of the house, like you are, and so. But you don't have a problem walking in face to face and talking to somebody and being able to just walk in with confidence. It's just mind-boggling that people don't develop those skills. And I know you're an expert at it. I know that from talking to you and having the discussions we have, to be able to get in there and just find out if the manager, if the owner, somebody is interested in listening. And there's a technique. And that's the thing I talked to Teresa about this morning. I'm so glad she called me. I got an email from her, and then she called me. And it's, to me, if you don't learn these skills, you are in serious trouble here. You're already in trouble with 97% not making money. Already trouble there. We all know that. But here you are. If you don't learn skills, I'm talking about talking to someone and understanding whether you are doing the talking and whether they are listening and vice versa. We all know that that's a serious problem in relationships alone. Just because you're talking don't mean they're listening. People don't pay attention. And there's a skill to find out whether or not they're listening and to be able to answer questions and get right to the heart of what most people, Mark, don't even know what they're trying to do when they make a phone call, when they make a connection with somebody. You know what they think? They think that their job is to go get that person interested and see if they want to join their business. That's what they think their job is. And it almost makes sense that they would think that, but that's where they fail. That's the problem, is not knowing who they are when they make the call and what that conversation is supposed to be about. Even if you're using, an IM, situation, or you're Skyping or whatever, honestly, they still don't understand who they are, because probably in most of their minds, they're hoping that this person is going to love what they have and join them. And we know that it's not possible.
But let me share something with you. Yeah. Back in the day, when I was coming up, I took the Dale Carnegie Sales and Human Relations course. That was the biggest course out there for a number of years. And, and I learned a lot from that and made a lot of money using those principles and everything like that. But when I took this communication class and I learned the 5 parts of a sales call, introduction, the reason I call, what I want you to do, and then you make an appointment and you tie it down. When I learned those skills, it just went to a whole new another level. So I have a saying that I always keep my patent office open. If we didn't have the patent office, we wouldn't have rockets to the moons. We wouldn't have instant this, that, or whatever like that. But my point is that if you're willing to take the time and get the skills and learn how to talk, your business will grow. Other than that, it's not going to grow. It may grow a little bit, but you could have taken it to another level by having the proper skills. And again, terminology and perception, it has to make sense, because what we do know is we talk to people and, and we market. Marketing is what? Simply getting your information out to people. But if they ask you questions, do you know how to answer the questions? That's very important.
Well, I think the way most people answer it is they just blab away about their company because they don't know who they are and what their objective is on the call, or whether it's even, like I said, in the Skype, it's in some kind of instant messaging or on a phone and replying to somebody. They still don't get who they are. And these skills have to be learned to be successful. It is the missing ingredient. Now, I made a statement today, and I probably offended people in the letter I sent out, which was, well, Mark and I went over it this morning, so Shirley, and we all basically contributed to this letter to, and one of the things I said is that, it takes more than just social media, friending, liking, posting. It's going to take more than that to build this. I know that. I'm watching people in 3 different companies who are learning and doing those skills, and they're gathering up, new contacts and so on, but then they don't know what to do with them. Can't bring them in. Can't close them because they think that posting or that liking is leading them to a registration with them. And the truth is, it's not even supposed to do that. The purpose of communicating through social media is to build your list, period. That's it. It's to build the list. Now, there's a part 2 of that is, what do I do with the list? And that's where people fail because they don't know how to communicate. They want to blab all about the new concepts, the new product, the new service, and how it's going to change your life, and take this or do this or invest in that. It's just a false narrative, I should say, that people are believing that that's what's going to make it happen. And I would like to see who it is that's making that happen. Let me get rid of this phone here.
Yeah, well,
I like to see who it is that really is not just doing it themselves, because some people have large social media, databases, and they're able to go in and get some people. But how do you teach your people to do it? Teach them social media and posting. Oh, that's great, but that's only one way to go build your database, and that's what people are not being taught. That the objective is to build that database so that you can communicate, but you better learn how to communicate.
Yeah, because again, you often hear the saying that the money is in the list, and it is in the list.
Oh, yeah.
However, but you have to know how to communicate with that list, and that's the only way that the 97%, which we have solved, and we'll talk about in the meantime, but the 97% is what we're going after and want to change, because it doesn't make sense for somebody to come into this business and only 3% of the people make money, and they make money off of the 97% because, again, like I said, I always say people don't care how much you know, but they want to know how much you care. And if you really care, then you're going to make sure that they have the tools, you're going to make sure they have the knowledge, and you're going to make sure that they understand how to communicate whatever they're marketing, whatever they're doing, to the interested party. That's the key. You want to find an interested party, but if you don't know how to talk to them, then they're not going to be interested. It's just that simple, Joe.
Hey, Mark, you're a financial expert. I mean, you've taught people over the years. I mean, you have been successful in showing people, not just taxes and so on, but strategies, financial strategies that have changed people's lives over the years. I mean, I know you're not a young kid, you're not an old man, but you've spent years doing that and helping people do that. And now we're involved not we're involved in an industry where you're connected to business owners. You're connected to not only brick and mortar people, but you're connected to networking and companies out there who people heading the company are truly interested in helping their people. So why don't you just give us a little background or tell me just a little bit about, I know recently JC is a guy you're working with and his interest and his I know you're working with him to, actually he's going to be a guest. He's probably going to be a guest with us next week. And this is another business owner who's concerned about his people, who has a program to teach people how to get out of debt and and I know Mark teaches that. Mark, why don't you tell us the questions you ask people about getting out of debt?
The first thing I ask a person, this is whether I'm out in the grocery store or whatever like that, if a conversation comes up, or if I directly ask them, I'll say, well, look, do you know anybody in debt? And see, the program that we have, which we'll talk about, not just for debt, it can be used for anything. But I like to use it for debt because that's the problem in our country. Debt with the government, debt with the people. So I say, well, do you know anybody in debt? And when you think about that, 90% of the people walking around are in debt that they don't know how they're going to get out of. And they come out of college now with not 33, but $37,000 in debt. The average college student comes out with that kind of debt. They can't buy a house. They can't buy a car. They end up going back home and staying with mom and dad. The second question I asked them is that, do you know 7 to 10 people in debt? Well, between their relatives, their co-workers, their friends, they know more than 7 people. And then I'll ask them, well, is it, if I can show you a way to get out of debt, is there any reason why you wouldn't want to know more about it? They have to say they want to know more about it. And then I ask them, well, finally, let me ask you this last question. When would you want to start? You get those 4 questions answered like that, you just brought somebody into your business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're going to go get a lot of other people in. You know, Joe, once we share this program with everybody, it's to me, like I said, it's over. It's lights out.
Well, I see this, you know, and I had a talk with some of the business owners here that we're involved with, I'm involved with. And I told them that, you know, that we have a program that it's a feeder program into companies like Cooler Brands or Carrot Bars, whatever. It's a feeder program. And I just want to make this very clear. I'm not interested in cross-line recruiting with people through these companies. That's not what we're talking about here. But I know people are going to ask us, well, what are these programs? And there are people out there that can help them with it. We can tell them what it is. But I don't want to be caught up. My people know about this stuff now who I have personally sponsored in companies. And that's who I speak with. But I know people will ask us, and, you know, we can filter them different ways. So the important thing is, again, a feeder program is a program whereby you can use that program to feed into your main program. I mean, look, Cooler Brands is a phenomenal company. The concept is like no other. People struggle to bring people in. Most of the people, from my estimation, is they brought in people they know. They don't know how to get the people they don't know, because there's only 2 kinds of people that you can bring into any company, and that's people you know and people you don't know. That's it. And we can use that to feed them, and which I like. That's what I like about it, is we can get people to feed them into companies like Cooler Brands and feed them and actually get a little bit of an income, and it doesn't even cost any money to join it, by the way. And teach them how to get a little money and feed them into Cooler Brands, where people can see down the road. Because let's face it, a company like Cooler Brands is a long-term, mid to long-term project. And if you understood the company, you'd see, we're not here to explain all that today, but you would see that you're basically putting money in the bank. That's what you're trying to do here, is build the savings account. That's what you're doing. You're building the future. And it's a heck of a program. But some people want to make money right now. They want to be able to say, how do I feed into that? The other thing is, even though it's a feeder program, Mark, and to say we're going to bring people into a company like Cooler Brands, is you still better learn the skills, because you're not going to get them there without the skills. And there's techniques. And that's the thing that people are missing, is techniques on a phone call. I would guess that most people don't even know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about techniques. What techniques? Techniques to move people to registration. How do you do it? Not tricks. They're not tricks. They're techniques to understand how to move a person along. And that's what the skills that are not taught in the industry, except for, you know, few things like ours in our communication class and so on.
That's true, because what we're offering here on the Breakfast Club and our broadcast, I'm telling you, the people are in for a treat. It's phenomenal, because when you talk about somebody like J.C. Hill, and then when you talk about somebody like Dr. Robert A. Needham, go Google him. And this is a guy, for example, that charges thousands of dollars an hour to companies and everything. And I'm talking about, he works with billionaires and millionaires and everything. And Joe, can you imagine we're going to be getting them for $5 a month?
No, I can't. I am blown away after listening to him last week or so. And by the way, it looks like Mark's bringing Dr. Needham to the Breakfast Club. It looks like we're going to have him on. We're discussing that now, and bring him over. And what that, Mark, describe a little bit more about Dr. Needham.
Dr. Needham and his wife also he's a consultant. He has a JD. He's a Juris Doctor. He's a doctor in law, and he's a consultant. And I mean, he's one of the smartest people on the planet. And so what he does is he gets with companies and he shows them how to run their companies. He also shows them how to build their wealth and protect their wealth. And see, that's what we need to do. In other words, getting a lot of money or whatever, like, you still know how to manage it and what to do with it and everything. And if you have philanthropy tendencies and everything, I mean, you will learn to do the things that you want to make yourself feel good and the people that are around you. Because Joe, you always say that you have to do right by your customers, but you have to do right by the people around you. Yeah. This is going to help us to do all the things that we ever wanted to do and do it professionally in the right order and the right way to do it.
No, I'm excited to actually meet him personally and discuss some of the things with him. That he had a tremendous class the other day, and it was basically a 15-minute class. I mean, it was phenomenal. There's so many elements to what he teaches that can help people become successful. So we're going to be bringing people like that to the Breakfast Club to help you with your business. It's not to recruit you to these things. You know, if you choose to be with them, that's fine. But the important thing is that we put the right people in front of your audience, so to speak, in front of the listeners, and be able to if just one person gets something out of this, if one person, you know, I know this, Mark, there has never been anybody that has taken the communication class that hasn't said, oh my gosh, I see what you're talking about. Unfortunately, there's so many leaders that haven't, and they're not helping their people by any means, because the steps are, first step is to get that database, but learning how to get that database by communicating properly is, I know that Shirley's our manager. She manages this whole operation here and keeps us in tune with this, make sure we're up to speed with all this technology here that's from Webinar Jam. But, you know, her skills from a year and a half ago, 2 years ago when I met her till today has just changed drastically, because she's just not afraid to talk to people anymore. And she'll tell you she has some struggles with this and that. We're all going to have that. I don't think she does. I know she thinks she does. But she basically could handle pretty much anybody with comfort, because she knows the technique. She knows, you know, her objective when she's on the call. And she's a bit, you know what, Mark, let me pull this up. Let me share my screen a minute here. And I know we did this, but I want to share this, and I don't want to take credit for this, because let's see if I can turn the screen share on. I'm on another monitor here, so I'm turned sideways a little bit.
Joe, while you do that, I want to make a statement here. This class and what we teach here at the Breakfast Club will help you get that 800-pound gorilla off your back, and that is the telephone too. That is the telephone. And like you said, and I want to make this clear, this is the top feeder program as far as I'm concerned in the world. There's nothing like this out there. Yeah. And you can use it for any program or business that you're doing. And this is why you want to bring your associates and the people that you know and the people that you meet to the Breakfast Club, because they're going to get value that's just, I mean, it's just irreplaceable.
People would just learn the skills. Yes, a feeder program is so important, because most people wouldn't open a phone book and call people out of the blue. We used to be able to do that. We built a monster monthly income back in the day by opening a phone book and recruiting people locally into our offices and into our webinar, our seminars and classes every day. But these people had skills because we taught them the skills, but we taught them telephone. We taught them to talk to people because that's all we had. We didn't have anything else. We didn't have computers but in those days, we used a telephone book. So when people say, I don't have anybody to call, you know what? The first thing is you got to build the database. And you know what? If you just collected business cards, you'd have a database. If you would just somehow harvest names from, I don't know, wherever on the internet. If you picked up business cards, if you went to the Yellow Pages and you spoke to business owners, if you knew what to say, if you had those skills, if you had the technique, you could call every business in the area and you could find someone interested in what you have. Not interest them, find an interested party. What kind of interest? Managing a business from home or wanting a career change for the right money. This happens to be, this letter, Mark, that I wrote here today and we kind of honed in on today and manicured. I wanted to express what we were doing with the Breakfast Club, number one, and going back to our roots. But I also wanted to share here, are you standing out for the right reason? And I want, some people, probably most people haven't read this and opened this up today when we sent this out. This was if you haven't done that, open up your, if you've gotten a email from us and you had a PDF attachment, open it up. It's safe. And basically, it's a class teaching, are you standing out for the right reasons? Let me read a little bit of this. And I got this from a company who teaches these skills. I get every month, every week, I get a new email like this. And once every couple of weeks, they're teaching a class on communication. And that's why I stay with them, because it blows my mind that we're together on this. But listen to what they say. These words in the beginning are not even mine. I changed it around a little bit. But when your communication skills have been polished, you stand out. If you let them fall by the wayside, you stand out even more for the wrong reasons. Then what can you do to be taken seriously? It's no accident that politicians devote a lot of energy to maintaining a positive public image, so they're not treated dismissively by their colleagues and constituents. They're coached on how to communicate effectively, how to respond in certain situations, and how to appear confident and assertive. Now you can learn that there are 3 A's of looking and acting like a leader: articulation, appearance, and assertiveness. Look, this is exactly what we teach in the class. How to communicate effectively, how to respond to certain situations, and how to appear confident and assertive. If you do not have that, you're not building a business whereby you have people in an organization who are following you or following a pattern or system to build a business. Not going to happen. Now, this isn't by accident. This is a very, very big company that teaches these skills. And I suggest that you somehow change your thinking about what's wrong with your business and why you're not recruiting people, influencing people, bringing people aboard, having them follow or follow somebody else. If you're not successful, they can't follow you. You got to follow somebody else. So Art Williams taught us to point upwards to your upline, to people who are successful, who know how to do that. But you're not going to get it without communicating properly. That's all there is to it. So that's the bottom line. Not going to do it. So we wanted to cover this today. We have an exciting week next week. Hopefully, we're going to have a couple of leaders, some success stories, people taking the class. We have a bunch of people scheduled this week in other companies taking this class. And, we're excited about that. We'll have people on with testimonials. We can pull out hundreds and hundreds of thousands testimonials on what the class has done for them. It's just a matter of understanding it, getting involved, taking the class, and being involved in some post class, some advanced class, so that you can get questions answered and work with people who already are developing these skills. And that's what it's going to take. And I thank Teresa today for using that word with me today about one of the things lacking with a lot of people are skills. And that's what it is, Mark. So I wanted to just say that for today, and we'll be prepared for next week. If you wanted to just throw that out there and turn it back to you. And
yeah, well, I tell you what, again, I keep thinking back umpteen years ago when I learned some communication skills with Dale Carnegie, and then when I got this class, it just totally changed my outlook. And Dale Carnegie was big time. I mean, big time. Everybody was taking those classes and everything. And when I took this class, It was like a new day, a breath of fresh air. And again, I always tell people that, you have to have the right tools to build a business. If not, you're basically building a hobby, and hobbies generally don't pay. So, and you have to treat your enterprise like a business because it's going to pay you the way that you treat it. So that's something to really think about. And, Joe, as you know, in this life's walk, we run into a lot of different types of people. People that are very intelligent, so they think, people that are, that are poor. And again, I always tell people, look, there is a difference in being broke and being poor. Being broke is a temporary economic condition, which means what? You can change it. But being poor is a disabling frame of mind and a distressed condition of the spirit. So we must vow never, ever be poor again. Now, how do you get out of poor? You stop passing over opportunities repeatedly. They say that in your lifetime, about 2 opportunities come past you in your lifetime. So you got to grab at least one of them. And then you have to learn the skills to make it successful. And again, to me, the most important skill is communication. Without communication, we don't have very much to go on. So
yeah, we know that in relationships. I mean, it's the same thing in relationships. Mark, I wanted to read this last thing here that I have on the screen that most people didn't see, I guess. I just wanted to talk about this. Well, here it is. There was a time when man could communicate with all animals, but we have since forgotten their language. That's the problem when you look deep into that statement. We have forgotten their language. In other words, you're talking to people, you're not listening. You're not understanding what's happening on the other side. That's what communication is about, is understanding. You're talking, you know what you're saying. Are they listening? But not understanding what's happening on the other side of that is a real problem because we have forgotten what's happening over there. We're just so entrenched in trying to interest people and get them on our side that we forgot what's happening on the other side. We've forgotten their language. So I wanted to leave you with that. So I just want to thank everybody for being here. And Mark, one of the things next week that we want to do, we talked about, was I'm going to bring up the back end of the class and show people what it's like to set up a business, what you should be thinking about, and the things we talked about. How do I keep track of my my business, basically? Am I tracking my prospects, my leads properly, and how to get it set up? And then I'm really excited about talking about and having. We're going to have a special night in 2 weeks, Women's Night, Women in Networking, successful women, because most people don't understand that well over 75% of the people in our industry are women.
That's correct.
Interesting that we should be paying attention to what women are doing in business. And what's making those who are successful, how are they becoming successful? And I can tell you right now, they're going to tell you their communication skills are first and foremost. So with that, thank everybody for being here. As always, Shirley, thanks for, I don't know if we have any questions or anything. I don't want to take too many here if we do, but.
No, we don't have any questions or remarks.
Good. All right. So everybody have a wonderful day today. Mark, we'll talk a little later, and Shirley, thanks for being here. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next week at the Breakfast Club.
Peace and blessings, everyone.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Mark.
And let's see if I can get this.
For a non-rehearsal, that was fantastic.
Hold on. We're still live. Still live here. Let's see if I can. This new platform is a little, I'm going to end the call right there. I think this might hang up on all of us. I'm not really sure, but let's just try it. So this new platform's a little bit more we need to learn. So
good job anyway.